And apologies for this evening. We have one apology from Councillor Haley due to a prior commitment. Can I have a proposal? Adam, second. James, all in favour? No. Thank you very much. Declarations of interest. Any members have any disclosable pecuniary interest? They should now disclose in items on the agenda, and any other interests which you may have in respect of items on the agenda. Are there any? Councillor Brookes.
I have an interest in item 9 as Oakham Town Council's observer on the citizens' advice.
Thank you. Any others?
But I won't be leaving the room, and I won't be choosing to vote because I'm rather biased to them.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Any other? Right. Okay.
I've only got dispensation for agenda number 14. Dispensation signed by the clerk. So I'm a member of the Handling Society as well.
Okay,
I'm not a committee member.
Thank you.
I've got dispensation for item 14. My husband is a fisherman. I know nothing about fishing, but I have got dispensation.
Thank you very much. It just reminds me that Councillor Lucas is permitted to remain seated this evening.
Thank you.
On request. Thank you. The minutes of the meeting of the 9th of December. Are there any comments? Councillor Lowe.
Just one thing on the 256/15 members' reports. The phrase Cottesmore Hunt at no point was mentioned during my deputation, so I'd like it noted that that should not have been included. Thank you.
Strike it. I'll propose that we strike that.
I'm not going to strike.
No, we strike the word. That's the correct procedure, isn't it?
I mean, the minute reads, Councillor Allen Lowe apologised to members over his handling of the recent decision not to allow Cottesmore Hunt to use cuts close. If members wish to remove that from the minutes, then...
Yeah, he didn't specify.
Just a minute. You know what to do if you want to speak.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, just a minute. Can we say Councillor Allen Lowe apologised to members over his handling of the recent decision to use cuts close?
That was pretty much accurate.
And just strike out
so,
those.
to amend the minutes.
I think his words were letting, the letting of the park.
Just remove Cottesmore.
Or renting,
okay.
But it's fine if we can have my proposal to remove the Cottesmore Hunt.
Yes.
Sorry, remove the words Cottesmore Hunt,
okay.
please.
And you're
That's
proposing
a proposal.
that? Second.
It keeps them happy.
Councillor Howard, all in favour? Unanimous, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, taking that amendment, can I have a proposal to accept the minutes?
I propose.
Thank you. Second.
I second.
Councillor Stubbs for that. All those in favour?
Disclosure.
Unanimous, thank you very much. Item 4 is council questions. There are none. Sorry, I'm going to do some signing now. You may need to take a little break. I've got 13 pages to sign.
13 on the 13.
I remember what you said because I can't sit down as a
Yes.
I'm sure I signed them all.
Straighten that picture now.
This way.
Thank you.
The spirit level.
Somebody must have dusted it. When I used to clean for someone, I got into trouble for that because I always dusted and made the pictures wonky. And we did by a spirit level.
Okay, thank you. Item 4, councillors' questions, none notified. Chairman and members' reports. Any members wish to make a report, Susan?
I thought you were.
Because I haven't got the minutes and everything confirmed back. So.
One day, report about the final piece. Okay, it's the Mayor's appointment since the last meeting on the 9th of December. Thursday the 10th of December I attended Melton Carol service. On Wednesday the 16th, I attended the Catmust College concert at All Saints Church, which was a very impressive function indeed it was. Thursday the 17th, there was obviously the town carol service at All Saints Church. And then on Thursday the 22nd of December, I attended the 2248 Rugby Squadron Air Training Corps presentation evening, which was excellent again. Just a note for future events, Thursday the 28th of January is my reception at the Oakham Museum. Any members have not yet replied, tomorrow is the closing date for replies, so if you'd pay attention to that please. Then a future event on Wednesday the 6th of April 2016, I'm running a fundraising event for the Mayor's Charity with Charles Hanson, the TV auctioneer, attending at the Victoria Hall. Just a note for future events for you. And you will get more publicity about the 6th of April event in the near future.
What was the date in there?
6th of April, Wednesday the 6th of April. Thank you. Right. Clerk's report, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Everybody should have a copy of this in front of them. Members of the public, they're on the table there. Just very, very quickly going down all of these. Christmas lighting, that has now all been taken down. The tree was taken down, no problem, last week too. Audit regime. I'll just draw your attention to this actually. Members are asked to know that following the abolition of the Audit Commission from 1st of April 2015, the audit regime will be changing from the next financial year. So the external auditor for the accounts, if you like, for 2016-2017. Now, in reality, all it is the Audit Commission under a different name. So there will be no real change, no discernible change for Oakham Town Council. However, if the Town Council wishes, it can opt out of the process of having an external auditor appointed to it. As you're aware, we have Grant Thornton at the moment. This is likely to be a very time-consuming business. The audit fees are the same as we are being charged at the moment, the proposed fees. It is highly unlikely that the Council could source an external auditor with the necessary qualifications for less than the external organisation appointing, because they will be doing a tender process as the Audit Commission did. Okay, so I don't really think that is an option for the Council. Let's just go with it, but just to draw your attention to it. The next one down, Community Governance Review. This was actually considered by RCC on Monday, and they will be conducting, at the request of Oakham Town Council, Community Governance Review on the areas of the existing parishes of Oakham and Barleythorpe, whether they should be altered, and to consider the most effective and convenient form of community governance for residents of Barleythorpe. Now, that is on RCC's website, all the paperwork. We've got a hard copy in there, there's maps, all of that sort of stuff. So if you want a hard copy, then please let the office know and we can get that to you. Otherwise, it is on RCC's website and the details are there. Recording of meetings. As you're aware, the recordings have not been that great, so the installers were contacted prior to Christmas. We now have a new camera and a new microphone, so this is the first trial of it, and we're going to see how it is when we upload it tomorrow onto YouTube. They've been very, very good about coming out and changing everything at no cost, so we will now see what happens. Now, the next one, we've alluded to this one in the past. This is the street lighting, parish lighting proposals. This came through today. You've got a copy of it all there. Now, Alf's just mentioned his civic reception on the 28th of January. There is a little bit of a clash here because this is being discussed at the parish forum on that night. So you've got it all there. The inventory of street lighting in Oakham shows nearly 1,800 lights in Oakham. Okay, which I haven't printed off for you, as you can imagine. Just to let you know that green flag, that went off today. And Alison would very much like to convey her thanks to members who've helped produce, check, put photos, etc., etc. You know who you are. I don't, but you do. Thank you, Chairman.
Just to enlarge on something, the Community Governance Review, I attended RCC on Monday evening, and it's now decided to commence with a number of options, which I won't go into, for the present parish of Barleythorpe. if it goes through, or when it goes through, it will go through in some form, then the new parish will be formed from April 2017. But in the meantime, you'll be getting plenty of information coming through because there's going to be a survey questionnaire going to all residents. But it will impact directly on Oakham North West, because that's where the boundaries are. But there's going to be quite a lot of information coming from that, and just please keep your eyes open because it is very important that we respond to all the consultation documents. Also on the street lighting and parish lighting, again, that is something which is going to be concerning us over the next months. And I'm sure that we'll give due diligence to that because it will entail possibly the transfer of lighting from RCC to Oakham Town Council. But that is something we've got to discuss and look at in the future. Okay, thanks very much. Okay, we now turn to deputations by members of the public. Mr Romney, you're going to be deputation. It is usual to have 3 minutes, but obviously I won't restrict you to those 3 minutes because Mr Crouch has had considerably longer than that. But I appreciate it didn't take too long.
I'll try not to take your time, Jim.
Yeah, if you could stay pertinent to the points you want to say. Thanks very much, Mr Romney.
Chairman, councillors, thank you for hearing me again on the matter of the column and CCTV in Roy's Ground. Myself and other residents were surprised to hear that you are revisiting this issue and also your decision to remove the column. The technical spec of the camera, as I gave you at the first meeting we had, clearly states it is only 40 metres to face recognition. We hear that there have been many incidents. I've spoken to many other local residents and users of the park, and not one person seems to know of any incident near or on the park in the last few months. Indeed, we checked last night and it seems that not even the official police website, Police UK, has no crime or crimes have been committed or recorded for the month of December. Actually, only 3 crimes have been reported in the last 6 months, 2 in August, 1 in November. Hardly a high-risk area, I suggest. No one seems to have seen any police in attendance, ticker tape, police notices, police warnings, and information about wrongdoings on the park. If this was such a problem area, surely such notification would have been received. We did, however, receive a letter from RCC dated the 7th of December 2015, which I think you will all now have a copy of, giving notice to the residents for the removal of the column. I understand this was received by a limited number of properties. It also clearly states that RCC are now consulting with Oakham Town Council to identify an alternative site for the camera. I would like to ask the councillors, 1. How is that consultation going? 2. What areas have RCC identified so far? And 3. Are they indeed where Oakham Town Council first asked for it to be placed? I would like to also point out that every step of the consultation has been led by ourselves. We have had to push all the way for Rutland County Council to do the proper consultation. The door knocking took place on the 5th of November when most people were out. Nobody came to our house. It has been very sporadic. We understand that the column is due for removal on Monday the 25th of January 2016. On behalf of the local residents and the 24 people who signed our petition from the area for its removal, I would ask you to uphold your original decision and ask RCC to no longer delay and complete the removal of the column. Thank you, Chairman.
Thanks, Ron. You do pose a couple of questions in that deputation, which I hope will be answered during the discussion we have on the meeting. Thank you. Mr Berridge, you want to deputation on the grant application?
Sure. Do I need to stand?
No, you're okay there.
Okay. I'd just like to thank Chairman and the councillors for allowing me some time to talk about the Oakham Angling Society grant application. As a small angling club, it's been around for about 100 years or more actually now in this area, with the fishing rights, if you like, to the canal. I'm approaching you today really to seek support to continue investment in the canal and the facility as a recreation facility. for the members of the club, which entails basically the membership of comprising people from Oakham and the surrounding area. We have turned a bit of a corner recently, I think, in terms of bringing about developments and improvements down at the canal, and we're looking to step that up basically. Over the last 3 years, we've quadrupled our membership from a small number of 20 members to about 100 now. And so we've really got the ball rolling on bringing about some improvements to the canal. It's not just about the fishing down there, it's also about the habitat, the environment that is being developed. It's tremendous to see actually that not only have we got increased membership and interest in the fishing, but the amount of dog walkers, ramblers, wildlife spotters even coming out to the canal now to really enjoy that environment has significantly increased. As we see Oakham expanding, more people coming into the town, I do feel as though there's a need to increase the kind of recreation facilities available to us, and the canal for many, many years has offered an opportunity there for some of the outdoor pursuits associated with those things that I've just talked about. So I think the benefits, therein lie the benefits really. We are a club, we are interested primarily in the fishing, and that's what it's been about for us, but always along, in parallel to that, we've wanted to improve the environment as well. And I think if you were to look at the canal now versus going back 10 or 15 years, then you'd see that bankside improvements have been made. It's much easier to walk down there now. We've put platforms in to improve the access for people with impaired mobility. And we've even sought the support and had some fantastic support through a relationship that we've developed with Wilds Lodge to bring people down there and actually do some of the work that needs to be done to maintain that environment. And that's something we really want to continue. And that's the challenge for us really, is that we have, with the membership that we've got, we're literally just, we're having, getting a revenue to just cover our basic expenses. But to take us a step above that and to develop the canal, to develop the environment, improve the fishing, improve the membership, which further improves our revenues and our opportunity to invest, then we're looking for a little bit of support here financially to complement actually the interest that we've got from members of the public, Wilds Lodge, the membership, people of the Oakham community to come support the canal. So to that end, I'm standing here really just to present its deputation and seek your support, councillors, your consideration of the grant application to help a local club that's been around for many, many years, that's got a keen interest in developing that environment that's the Oakham Canal. And I just request that you consider the application that's been presented and hopefully seek a favourable outcome. Thank you for your time.
We have the CCT poll at Royce's Recreation Road, item 21, and also the grant application, item 14. After the next agenda item, I'm going to propose that we bring forward both of those items, item 21 forward to item 8, and item 14 to number 9. I'll just give you pre-warned on that because it would be, I think, unfair to expect members of the public to sit there all evening and listen to it, unless they particularly want to. I'll do that after the next agenda item. Thank you. Okay, then the next agenda item is Working Group Strategy Assurance. You have a report in front of you from Councillor Haley, who's unfortunately not here this evening. This is purely for information only. As you remember, we did agree a strategic plan, which means that each working group will be required to compile its action plan sooner rather than later. So really this is just for information, but for chairman of working groups, you would need to consider this in the very near future so that we can have an action plan from each working group coming to this council. And I'd like you to consider that for the next council meeting, please. Don't forget that you'll need to include any costings, any expenditure. Okay. Right, on to the next one. The next one is I'm now going to propose that we bring forward item 21 to be the next item, which is item 9, and item 14 to to item 10. Second, Councillor Stubbs. All in favour?
Yeah.
Unanimous, thank you very much. Okay, we go straight then to item 21, which is now item 9. CCTV poll at Royce's Recreation Ground. We've had 3 members, I believe, which bring this item forward. Any of those members to speak to it?
I sent the initial letter. When this came up before, I was in favour of the poll staying where it was. My opinion hasn't changed on that, and I will not say any more and waste the council's time.
Okay. Anybody else wish to speak on this? Councillor. After I stopped you earlier on, now's your chance.
Well, actually, what I wanted to say has just been covered by Mr. Romney, because originally we didn't say that we couldn't use council property, Royce's Park. We asked for it to be moved within the area, and as this letter here to residents states that we are now consulting with the town council, and I can't recall any consulting in the time since the last decision, and I'd like to know, and I don't know if you can answer this, what other areas have been considered within that location, because I don't think anybody actually objects to a CCTV being at Royce's. It's purely down to the location. So what other areas have been considered?
Before I ask Mr. Crouch to answer that, does anybody else want to speak? Councillor Brookes.
Yes. The resident's letter is rather confused in me, because we all as councillors received a letter from the same officer at Rutland County Council who said it was down to us to consult with the residents, and it was likely that the equipment wouldn't be available. So I think the whole thing has been a total mess. We certainly haven't been consulted. I've been quite disappointed by the way things have been handled. I sat at the public meeting and there was the installer expert, and I was told the next day that they would go and visit the area and choose a suitable alternative location. I don't know if that happened, but why wasn't I told? You know, someone's nodding saying it's happened. I then hear a councillor's had the privilege of going to watch on their own the documents we've been shown tonight. As a councillor who'd been approached by members of the public, I had also approached an officer at Rutland County Council and asked for all residents and myself, because I think everybody should be included, and whether that meant the whole council was included. But it shows that it's not being handled properly. Now, I've even put forward suggestions to people which seem to be ignored. If that's the only place the poll can go because of the delay in telling Rutland County Council that they couldn't have the poll where it is, because they had plenty of notice, but I don't mention the names now, but one of the councillors knew exactly what was going to happen the following Saturday after this was brought to my attention. The road was dug up and it was cabled, and the councillor refused to tell me what was going on, so the money was wasted, and I think this is all it comes down to, is the cost of moving it. Councillor Alan Walters has told me in an email, which I think you've seen this week, basically that if it has to move, it's going to move onto the grass verge. So that's the cheapest option, but it doesn't solve the issue of this camera pole being the ugly thing. And I've said to Councillor Alan Walters that if that's the only place you can have the camera, you have an agreement with the council. If it's agreed tonight, people backtrack, then we need a way leave agreement for our property. Because we can't just have people putting poles and electricity on land that we look after for the public. That's a legal requirement. But to me, looking at the system, and I've had a good look, if it has to go there, the camera can be on lamppost level. The pole could be moved, as the installer suggested to me, by one of the telegraph poles, and it can have a transmitter to it. And then people don't have to look from their properties and see this great big pole. That's all it is. Most people who've spoken to me have said now, we don't actually object to the CCTV. It is purely the way the council have handled it. We've had it dumped on us, it's not our choice. But it's, you know, they all understand now the privacy things, and I think that Rutland County Council need to just sort of look at it and say, well, we've made a mistake, it's going to cost money, and then just get on and sort it out.
Yeah, thank you. Joyce.
I've got dispensation, and so I'm sitting down.
Yes.
Yes,
There are two things that have come to my notice that have not been reported to the police. One was an emergency, a man who works for the emergency services, and I'm not going to say which one, had egg thrown all over his car. He didn't realise there were eggs on the windscreen. They went hard and he was called out and he couldn't clean the windscreen. We've had vandalism to the 3 notice boards in the park. Those are two things that have not gone before the police. Now, I feel very strongly about this. It's water under the bridge. Let's get on with it. We have a duty of care to the community. I can go back further than Mr. Crouch about the assaults in that area, and I think the pole should stay. It is not obtrusive, as people are making out. It's a duty of care to the whole community. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Crouch, there's a number of questions there.
Oh.
You may want to recall them because there's been a lot of questions there. Firstly, the height of the column and its locality. I think that's one of the pressing issues you mentioned. The height of the column is that particular height to send and transmit the signal to its next receiving station, which is down this zigzag bridge. So that's why the height is there. It's to basically use topography of Oakham to its best benefit. If we were to re-site the column to another area, we've looked at that quite heavily. Following the public meeting, not only was I there with the installer, but also their topography guy to actually see if we had another particular spot for it, so we could relocate it. Unfortunately, that is the best locality for it. I do apologise about it being literally dumped on Oakham Town Council property. It was never that intention to do so, and that was not of my making. That was of another department within RCC. Not that I'm scapegoating at all, but that is just, I'm afraid, the fact of the case. The location of it is to actually maximise the observation of the park itself. We've got a very good view down to the proposed community centre, virtually all the way around that area. We've also got a very good view up to the entranceway to Cheviot Close, and that is within range of those cameras. I know it's been mentioned about facial recognition, but CCTV identification is not purely around CCTV recognition. It's all about clothing, it's about gait, it's about stance and how somebody walks around those areas. So, visits to the place of Royce's wreck has been done by the installers and its topography guys. It has been done by myself and fellow people of us, of Rutland County Council, and has also been done by both myself in company with Roger Beggy, who's also the chair of the Safer Rutland Partnership. Now, we accept the decision that RCC has made and the removal of it, or OTD has made and the removal of it, but what I've come here tonight to do is give you the facts. Now, I know that people have suggested about the police internet site that is there and the data it holds. Not everything, I'm sorry to say, that we have access to is reported into those portals. But what I've given you, the figures this evening that I've given you are absolutely from the police's network, as set with PC Joe Lloyd.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Romney, you made a deputation. I'll allow you to come back with another comment if you wish. If there's anything else you want to say.
Well, just Mr. Chairman, none of the residents were against the CCTV. We appreciate what needs to be done, and it does, the park does need covering. It is just purely the fact that it is stuck outside of everybody's residential house, and this is the only column in Oakham that is sat outside somebody's house.
Chairman, can I come back on that?
Okay, this is the last one now. I'm going to a vote after this.
Yes, this is not correct that the column is the only one outside, because I visited a tree that wanted pruning, and the lady came out, I'm not going to say the location, she came out and discussed the tree with me, and then said, look at the pole, and it's right outside her front door. So I'm sorry, that is not the correct statement.
With all due respect, Chairman, it's not 40
No,
foot high.
okay. No. Okay. Okay. Right now, I think we've heard both sides. I don't think we've had a chance to have a say tonight. So what I want now is a proposition, please, on this motion. Councillor Brookes.
I'll try. I have a proposal that we do not revisit this item based on the fact that we would look stupid, as we were told if we revisited the hunt item. I see no lawful reason for this to come back to council. So my proposal is that we don't revisit this item.
Okay, do I have a second for that?
Chairman,
Sorry.
well, the very nature of this deputation at the moment, we actually are revisiting it.
No, to make a decision. We're not revisiting the decision.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that motion? No?
There it goes.
Oh, Michael, you. Sorry, okay. All those in favour? 2. All those against? 4. Abstentions? 2.
We need another
So the
proposal.
motion falls. Have another proposal then, please.
Can
Councillor Lucas.
I propose that the pole stays where it is, please?
Okay.
I don't know how you want to word that.
Do you wish to? That's the way.
The pole stays where it is.
That's good enough. Okay, I think that's fairly clear. All those in favour?
No.
Sorry,
no.
Seconder, sorry, I missed the second.
Chairman, I would second that if the pole stays in place and is utilised for CCTV.
Yes, oh sorry.
Do you accept that amendment?
Yes, absolutely.
Could I?
That would be my second.
You second, Mike?
No, I'm asking for an amendment to include that if that does go through, that the way leave agreement is attached to the deeds at no cost to Oakham Town Council.
Can I just say that I do not...
Hang on a minute.
You have to have it by law.
Just a minute, please.
You can't say you can't have it.
Can we just, no chatter please?
Can we just do the first one first and then
Yes.
go on
Okay,
to the
so we've got, can you read out the proposal now?
The pole stays where it is and is utilised for CCTV.
We're
Thank you.
taking that one to start, then we'll look at an amendment after that.
Yes.
Have we got a proposal for that?
From Joyce, seconded by
Seconded by Adam. All those in favour? 2, 4, 5. All those against? 3. Okay, so the motion's carried. And the amendment you want to make to that?
No,
We can't do it because you just passed it without any.
Okay, new proposal.
Our proposal should have been attached to that vote.
Do you want to make a proposal?
Yes, well, obviously now the council's passed it. It is a legal requirement for anyone who owns land and an outside body. I was actually thinking of bringing a way leave agreement for a telegraph pole, which is what it would be based on. But it should not cost the council anything, and we should be seeking that. And before Mrs. Lucas continues saying, no, I remind members that every time we want to install a bench,
not a deputation, Councillor Brookes.
no, I'm just pointing out the reason why, Chairman,
please.
is we have to apply for a licence to put a bollard, a bench anywhere in this town.
What is your proposal?
My proposal is that the council agrees a way leave agreement which is attached to the deeds of Royce Recreation Ground.
Okay.
Council agrees that a way leave agreement be put in
It's not
place
a
at no cost to
That's all
council.
while we're reading this out. Can you
Sorry.
now listen to what was being said?
If you agree with this, Martin, the council agrees that a way leave agreement be put in place at no cost to the council and is attached to the deeds.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a seconder for that.
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I'll abstain
Six.
for a change.
6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry. Okay, and 1 abstention.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Ronald Smith. Thank you everybody who came this evening. If you wish to stay, please do. Okay. Not forcing you out. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Unless you want to stay. Right, the next one I'd like to from Oakham Angling Society. Any comments on the application from Oakham Angling Society? No comments? No?
I do want to comment, but I didn't want to be first.
Well, I mean, don't put your hand up, you're up the anyway.
Please,
Just trying to find it before I comment.
Okay.
Okay, so if I...
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah. Firstly, I would like to go to part 5 of the funding and suggest that where it's broken down into what we actually paid for, I would like to suggest or propose that we provide funding for platforms so that we've got a tangible and physical proof of our spending rather than endorsing the cost of fish. We've actually got something that is a longevity project on behalf of the Council and the Angling Society.
So are you proposing then the £250 for the towpath and platform maintenance?
So for £1,000 for £1,000 towards platform, new platforms being instated and old ones to be renovated.
I was under the impression that the majority of that was for the fish. Am I right? Well, fish stocks £1,500, combination of grant and existing society funds. Towpath and platform maintenance £250 from the society's funds.
Yeah, what I was trying to allude to was the fact that we can't be accountable for fish stock.
No, I realise.
And if we actually did go forward with supporting this application, that we would have something in the future to be proud of as a town council that we supported his society.
So this could be identified as...
Yes.
That's okay. How much are you proposing?
£1,000 towards the...
£1,000?
Yeah.
That's for Brookes.
Sorry. I'm fully supportive of the maintenance thing, which is shown here as £250. I can't support fish, but then at the same time, Vince, I can't support the fact that you want to change that 250 to 1,000. Now, I'm glad that the gentleman raised the issue of the Wildlife Lodge School, because they did some work last year and it was vandalised. Now, what I would like to suggest, because it seems a bit, I don't know what the word is to use, if we just make up a figure now, that's wrong. I think this application should be withdrawn. The gentleman should go away to his members and come back with a project, as you rightly say, we can be fully supportive of. Apparently these platforms that the boys built were vandalised, and I wouldn't object if they came back and asked for the full money if it could be proved that it was going to be a project with those boys and the materials to put all that right and the maintenance of what's required. But I can't approve something that just says, when it's in front there in black and white, £250, but we want to change that to 1,000 when it's not actually really needed. But if you want me to sort of say agree on £250 grant, which is what I was going to suggest myself this evening, then I can do that. But I think it would be better if people could agree that they went away and resubmitted it. They've got time before the end of the financial year, and it would be nice that Oakham Town Council has supported a community project. I'm a person who uses the canal in the nicer weather. I know that personally there's a lot of fish in it because I've filmed it and I've stood on those wobbly platforms to feed. You know, there are millions of fish as far as I'm concerned. There are babies and all sorts they might be eaten. But anyway, sorry to go on, but I think that's the only legitimate way.
Right. Before I got dispensation on this, I took 4 hours to write a report, so I intend to read the report I had written.
Well, now?
Yeah, it's only 2 pages.
No, that's much too long, sorry. Right,
statistics show...
No, it's much too long.
Oh, right.
Can you give us a short précis of it?
Sorry, say
a short précis of it.
I'll give you a précis.
Thank you.
Précis. statistics show.
So before Joyce starts, Chairman,
Actually started.
can the clerk copy it for us so we can have it?
Yeah, you can have
Because
that.
Joyce has put a lot of work into
No,
it.
Statistics show that more people in the UK take part in angling than any other sport, and that includes football. I stress this relates to participating, not watching sport. Now, I'll cut out the rest of it, but this authority, Oakham Town Council, in the past have supported many sports clubs with grants and have even included the right to have their logo printed on some t-shirts. We have supported the placement of seats in the newly refurbished castle grounds as part of our commitment to heritage, and this is where I'm going in at. There's a lot of work being done down there. There's a lot of work being done by Wiles Lodge. I have done that dossier there. I've left it there for people to read. Heritage plays an important part in this club, and as many will know, the canal was once, at one time, the lifeblood of the transport system between Oakham and Melton. It's important that the network is preserved for future generations. Now, the angling club drag the canal to get the weeds out so it doesn't silt up. It is an important piece of heritage for this town. The tackle shop in Oakham does well from the people who buy their bait. If that wasn't there, they would go to Melton, like we have been doing in the past, and I've been shopping in Melton. That shop needs the support of the anglers. The group, and I don't understand all this about pegs and platforms and what have you, but this is a scheme that we can be identified with. It's important that the environment is protected. I'm sorry, it's a no-brainer. I go along with Vince here and support this to its hilt. And I ask for your support to give £1,000 to the Angling Club to preserve the heritage that we've got. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, no more comment.
I actually misguided you. I said part 5, it was part 3. What difference will your project make? £1,000 grant, that's where I got the £1,000 from.
Okay.
So increasing fish stock, as you know, I would like to put the grant towards fish stock, but I just would also like to see a tangible result, and I think supplies and equipment given to the right people in the right hands would give at least 10 pegs with ability for disabled people to access those pegs with a nice little plaque saying Oakham Town Council provided. The longevity of that and the kudos that the Town Council deserves would be represented for that £1,000. Cool.
Okay, thank you. We'll go for a vote now. Can I have a proposal, please, on this application? You're proposing what?
The application. What I've just said.
I'm proposing £1,000.
Propose £1,000.
Seconded, please.
Who's proposed it?
I'll
second it. I have no problem.
You're second, okay.
Yes.
All those in favour, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All against. 7. Sorry, 7. You're against there, Councillor?
Yeah, I'm the ogre.
Okay. Do you want it noted?
I can't. It doesn't matter. I always ask for it to be
Okay,
noted.
thank you.
Okay, £1,000.
Mr. Boris, £1,000. And there was some debate about it.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
We look forward to the plaques going on though.
I've made a note of the plaques.
One says Joyce, one says...
I shall watch.
That's
After
cost
all
too
that
much
work.
money.
Can you hit the...
Thank you.
Okay.
Very much indeed. Appreciate your consideration.
Okay.
Costs too much money.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, item... Whatever it is, no, old item 9. I can't think what it is at 11, is it? Citizen Advice Rutland, the funding, this is Councillor Brookes' proposal.
Come on.
Citizen
I'll do a Michael Hailing, just so you've got the reports in front of you here.
You have the opportunity to speak to your
Yes,
report.
yeah, and basically what I would like is for, as you can see, that if I'm declaring an interest in not voting, I think it's also appropriate that I don't make the proposal because of my interest in the citizens' advice. But what I wanted, and I've asked for some time, is the council to consider contributing towards a very worthy service for the residents, not just of Rutland but Oakham, as it's been made very clear, the percentage which had been provided by the citizens' advice. It does seem a bit unfortunate that we stopped funding them, in the way that we have in the past.
Okay.
So if members felt that it would be appropriate to fund the CA, we need to agree amongst yourselves if that's the case, and how much, please.
It's a little difficult if you're making a proposal but not saying how much you think it ought
No, that's what we had to leave it for members to decide what it was. I couldn't make a proposal because the citizens' advice would take £10,000 off you, wouldn't they?
Well, yeah.
£20,000, and somebody might agree, they might not. So it was down to members to consider. That's why the gap was there.
That's all right.
Apologies if I didn't explain that beforehand to you.
I get the impression that grants are going to be knocked on the head in the future. Historically, whenever grants have come up here, we have moved away from CA. I'm conscious of the fact that in the past that when we've asked for grants to be put in applications, that it states what the money is for. We just had the wrangle over the Angling Society where it was over fish stocks or pegs, which is obviously the boards they sit on, and we were trying to be more specific. I cannot support a document where we're going to be giving any amount of money to any organisation, not stipulating how or saying how it's going to be used, when this organisation has excess funds of, what is it, £100,000 in their reserves, or £80,000 in their reserves? So I'm sorry, but Oakham Town Council is under a lot of duress at the moment from the authority on our own county to cut our costs. We're having funding cut by them, we're taking on additional responsibilities. I see that later on our future budget, the Finance Committee are coming back, we only increase it by 2%, which I also think is an error. So we cannot go in blindly giving out money every year when we're having to have to be as austere as the county and the central governments.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman.
I know you've got your hand up, but I'm going to people to speak first. Okay. Anybody else want to speak? What you must remember, this is not a grant.
I know, that's what worries me.
This is not a grant. This will, if you're going to agree anything here, it will come out of reserves. If you maintain the 2% increase in the precept. So remember that. Councillor.
Can I just ask what where the figure of the reserves, the quantification of the CA reserves has come from? This isn't in here, is it? 100,000?
It's wrong.
That was a figure that when previously CA, or CAB as it was, had applied for grant applications, so I know this isn't an application, this is our reserves, they have to produce a set of accounts for us so that we could justify giving them money, and at that point then, so I'm talking, what was it, 2 years ago now since we gave them, they had £80,000 of reserves then, and they would look at bolstering their reserves.
Yes.
So I'm working on the assumption they haven't used their £80,000 worth of reserves, so it's an assumption, I might be incorrect, but I think if we were to ask them, we find that they've probably got more reserves than we have.
Yes.
Councillor Brookes.
Mrs. Clayton-Jones was aware that the situation of reserves would come up, but they are now employers, and this is one of the things obviously as a concern for us about reserves, is that their income is being cut drastically over the next financial year. Now the reason they have reserves is not because they want to just stash a bit of money away for a rainy day, it's because they may have to make their staff redundant and things like that. Now, Adam mentioned the fact that we don't give a reason for why they want the money. Most of the other parishes use, which I was trying to use, the Local Government Act, where we are entitled to use the public money to fund the services running costs. Unfortunately, the reason before it was difficult with the citizens' advice was because the grant system that they had to revert to when we stopped funding them under that Act said you couldn't pay for running costs. Well, everything at the Citizens Advice basically is a running cost because it's people who are paid or telephone or whatever. So I hope that explains it. You know, I was hoping they would be here this evening, but they weren't. So.
Can I just make one comment? You made a comment there that they are now employers.
Yeah.
Yes.
They have been employers for some time because I work there on a voluntary basis and they employ people at that point.
Yeah, I understand that. It was just that it was just how that was put to me before Christmas. It's become an issue.
Thank you, Chair.
My decision is going to be based purely and simply on the fact that without information what the money is going to be used for and to see the accounts, I don't feel that it is, I wouldn't be, it would be irresponsible if I made a decision to grant them any money at all.
Thank you. Anybody else? That's like it.
Is there a way in which we can, by having further information, assess how their performance compared to other people in their sector? Because that seems to be a little bit what's in every. Why should we give money to people who may be being irresponsible with their own finances? On the face of it, there can't be a more worthy cause, can there? But so if they're organising themselves properly, and to use very simple words, deserve support from the town council, it sounds to me a worthy cause. But can they demonstrate? And they ought to be able to. The people at the head of that organisation, I've heard them speak, I went to their annual meeting, are capable of putting together that sort of detail.
One more, Councillor.
Yeah, I think they are obviously very well organised, and they did actually, I don't know, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I received a copy, but with the annual general meeting they did provide their annual report and return, which had a lot of facts and figures of how many people they support, what value for money they give, and it is an organisation that is run pretty tight ship these days, and they have to because their funding, like we're finding, is cut everywhere.
Okay.
And I just felt that from a personal point of view that Oakham is no longer contributing to what is really, as Mr. Elliott said, a very worthy organisation. If you visit there for anything, whether it's to take an agenda or a letter about this, there is always people waiting there from Oakham, and it just seems a pity that we've stopped. I see it as when you say about things that we should be seen as supporting good things, it's slightly different from the Anglican thing, but they are really helping people in our community. I mean, that's one of the reasons I'm not voting myself, because of personal reasons they've helped me, so I know how it works, and it doesn't cost the resident a penny, but it costs the Citizens Advice to provide it.
I think nobody was going to just say that the Citizens Advice is not worthy of support. I don't think there's anybody here who's saying that.
We don't want it to get like melting.
What we're saying is, I think, that, if I engage in the meeting, is that we need some further information to be able to justify a payment to them.
So can we defer this then?
Just a minute. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yes.
I was going to propose that we defer it with the intention of.
Okay, do you want to make a proposal?
I propose that we defer this agenda item on the grounds of lack of information, for more information on where the monies will be spent.
Are you looking for particular items that the money is going to be spent on?
Yes. Because it's just it alludes to various items, financial library service, 2015, so on and so forth. It's costing money. If they are actually going to use that money for a specific, rather than telephone bills, then I would be far more informed.
Okay.
I'd like to be far more informed. So that would be the proposal.
Well, I'd like to come back to the point of performance. Generally, the Charities Commission is very weak on requiring charities across the land to report performance. They're not a widget-based industry where you can talk about productivity per person, per whatever. It's more difficult, but it's not impossible, and there is very weak. And it ought to be possible. There are bright enough people there, there are intelligent enough people there to come up with some performance figures of which they're proud compared to other CAs or other people they can be compared with. And I think they should do it to justify this, the feeling that people want to give.
I think you've said a lot tonight.
Yeah, but I want to get it resolved in a way, because obviously I'm the council's representative observer. Would it be better if we all agreed that perhaps Mrs. Clayton-Jones or Sue was invited to come and speak to us at some time to find out a bit more? Because if it comes from me third hand, I don't claim to be an expert. She wrote this and I approved it and that, but I would like to get it right.
Mrs. Clayton-Jones knows what the requirements of the council are because she's been through this process before.
Yes.
But only
with the previous
grant.
councillor.
Yes.
And I'm sure if she would like to come and talk to us.
But if you could make it very clear what you want, then I can go back to her and say that this has happened, because at the moment all I'm
Councillor
getting...
Stubbs.
Thank you, Chair. We've had a proposal put forward, which is quite clear.
Okay.
I support that proposal, and I would like to second it.
Second the
And I
proposal.
hope we have a vote on it.
But you don't say what information is required.
I was just going to add more or less what Michael said about it being an important part of Oakham.
Indeed.
But, like all organisations, and that includes Rutland County Council, you have to prove your performance. And this, oh, we might have to make people redundant. I'm sorry, it doesn't wash with me.
No.
They've got to prove what they do and that they do it as efficiently as they should be doing. So I just go along with the...
I don't think we provide funds for organisations to make people redundant.
No.
That's one thing we do
we
not.
weren't asking.
Okay, can you read out the proposal?
Well, the proposal, I think, was the item be deferred because of the lack of information,
Yeah.
and that the council would request details as to what the money may be used for.
Absolutely. Is there anything else? You were talking about performance.
I did, yeah, performance.
Yeah.
Would you like to suggest an amendment to that to include performance?
So this is deferred, and that the CA shows the council evidence of its performance compared with other CAs or other people providing the same services. That's how I'd like to amend the proposal that they
I'm sorry, Chair, I can't accept that. It's not about performance, it's about what they are going to spend the money on.
Yeah.
That's what we need to know.
Yeah.
That's the proposal that's been seconded.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter about their performance. I want to know before I'm going to vote what that money is going to be spent.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
Councillor Howard, you made the original proposal. Do you accept the amendment or not?
I'm sort of torn, to be honest. Sorry, I'm sort of torn because if we go back to the Angling Society one, we needed to see what the money was being spent on, and I feel the same about this. I think it is a worthy cause, and it does do some good for the town and the people of the town. However, if it's to pay to have the double glazing updated or the front door repainted, to me that is not a valuable use of our funds. So therefore, my original proposal stands.
Okay.
Yes.
So we've gone back to the original proposal.
Yeah.
No, and you've said nothing.
Yeah, I was just going to say, can it be written?
I've got a proposal and a second.
Yeah, but I'm just asking, can it be written to her so that we know exactly what it is?
Will be.
Yeah, if you could write to Mrs. Clayton-Jones with what
Well, I'll do that. Proposed and seconded.
Better to come from
Yeah.
the chairman.
Vote.
All those in favour, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in favour. Against?
I'm abstaining.
Abstentions? 2.
Okay, just throw money at anything else.
Okay.
Maybe it's an improvement.
CCT funded, next item, which we've just been talking at length about CCTV. Oh, And we now have the letter from Rutland County Council requesting CCTV contributions for 2016-17, which amount to £4,700, as against an original cost of last year, I believe it was, or this year, £2,000. Any comments? There is zero in the budget, and again, if we agree to this, it will come out of reserves. Councillor Brookes.
I'm just a bit concerned that the council spent 117,000 and something pounds, because I looked it up last night, on a brand new system. Over the last 10 years, I think it is, they spent a similar amount of money. Oakham Town Council contributed every year to the maintenance of that system, and not once was it any fit for purpose. This doesn't really tell us what we're getting for our money here. That's, you know, we're improving. We want to know what it's for. It seems a considerable lot of money for a new system. Do they not have warranties, guarantees, or anything? You know, it just. I'm not happy to myself approve that just based on that letter.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Yep.
I'm going to stand by my austerity approach, I'm afraid, because the one thing I'm seeing towards the end of last year, it's happening this year, and it's being built into what is Rutland County Council is saying next year and the year after. They are cutting budgets left, right and centre. Yes. They're looking at, was it £16,000 out of some local government money that comes down to parishes being knocked on the head for Oakham, which is obviously in the future. When we take over the cemetery, which if it all goes ahead, even though we used to give a grant of £5,000 back to them, which I know is a different subject matter, they will not be reciprocating that. In other words, we stand on our own 2 feet. Oakham Town Council has now got to start looking to its own self. We are going to be independent of County Council. They cannot afford to give money out, and we should not be affording to give money out. We're already, Finance Committee are recommending that we stick with this 2% rise again. We shouldn't be, the £2,000 was going to knock on the head. The fact that they're asking for 4 and 6, this is not a game of Oliver. So to me, I wouldn't support it, I'm afraid.
Is that a proposal?
I would propose that I wouldn't support it.
Yes.
I'll second it.
Second. Anybody, any other comments before we vote?
Just to ask, can we say not to whatever they're asking and just do 2,000? Or, I mean, is it negotiable, is what I'm trying to say.
My agenda item isn't, no, my proposal isn't.
No,
I'm proposing that we do not
support anything.
Any CCTV.
That's okay.
So we have the proposal before you now that we do not support CCTV contributions for 2016-17 at all. All those in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Those against? Abstentions? 3.
I know there's got some breakdown in the two, but it's not.
Okay, the next one is budget. Which we now have Councillor Ellis, I believe, leading on this one, and the clerk. We're going to do a 2 Ronnie, is that right?
No. That's good night for me, anyway. What you've got on screen is basically the last version of the budget, which was done, is left at the CCTV and Citizens Advice. It's there under grants. I've just left it as grants, 0. And if you'd have changed that, that would have changed this bottom line figure here. Okay, the recommendation that you've got in front of you, Finance Working Group, when we met on the 4th, was it? 5th? 4th? When did we met? The 7th even. Is that we keep this 2% increase on a Band D property. Obviously, as Councillor as Adams referred to there, the council will be losing a substantial sum in 2017-2018. That sum there, £16,424. Okay, we will get it for 2016-2017. We will not be getting it after. Okay, that's an RCT decision. We've asked the question, is this money that is coming down from central government that you are choosing not to pass on? We've got not a straightforward answer. I think it's probably the correct way to describe it.
Non-committal response.
A non-committal response on that. However, that is 2017-2018. Taking that into consideration, when the finance group met, we believe that that increase should remain at 2% and no more for a Band D equivalent property.
So in fact what we're saying this evening is if we agree that budget, we're agreeing a 2% increase in the precept and £16,424 will be taken from the council's reserves.
No, that would be the following year.
Sorry, no.
Yeah, that's not issue.
No.
Sorry.
No. The grant aid from RCC we will get in 2016-2017.
Right, sorry, I've got the wrong figure there.
Yes, you have.
16,630, I've got the wrong figure.
Yeah, it's the figure, taking the budgets that have been put forward by various committees, by various working groups, none of those have changed. That is the same one that you saw as version 4 last time. Okay? So nothing else has changed.
You just go back to them.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Slowly.
Where do you want to be?
No, just put on what the
Where do you want to be?
where the promotions working group ones are.
There to there.
That's it. Right. No, that's fine. Okay.
Okay.
9,200 is that?
Yeah, that was what promotions
Sorry.
group asked for. Okay.
Yes, that's, I'm just clarifying that because
obviously it's a little bit of a moving feast this coming
Oh,
year because we're not sure on various aspects of expenditure and income. Therefore, if we do agree with 2%, well we have agreed with 2% precept, we will be looking at taking £16,630 out of reserves.
If every single penny of that is spent.
But we're not sure, but that's the maximum.
Yeah.
That's the maximum.
is that a bleak picture? And how far are we going down in these reserves?
You're
We
coming down
can't do
to
it
about
forever.
no, you can't. You're coming down 85,000 if you take 16,000.
Well, I mean, at the last meeting, it was reported to you that finance, we think we will have about £110,000 in the council's reserves at the end of this financial year.
Yeah.
So by using 16,000 of it, you are down to 85 or 90,000 pounds.
Because I'm sorry.
we have great discussions to have next year when the rates go up.
I think the cemetery
that is next year.
Can I ask, if we don't put 2% on this year, is that going to make the percentage that goes on next year even bigger?
It'll mean if you don't agree 2%, what percentage do you want? If you put 8% on, you wouldn't have to pay anything out of.
Michael wanted to say something. Sorry.
Sorry, Michael, I didn't see that comment.
I just wanted to say, on the second page, it does say, in answer to Councillor Lucas's point, that the council should seek to continue its policy of maintaining its reserves at 6 months' worth of expenditure in future
I didn't
years.
hear that, Michael. Sorry.
On page 2, third bullet point down, it says that the council should seek to continue its policy of maintaining its reserves at 6 months' worth of expenditure. So there is a declaration in here, a recommendation, a declared recommendation that it should maintain its reserves and not eat into them in future years willy-nilly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
In order to fulfil that in future years, it's obviously got some hard decisions to make on its budget expenditure if that 6 months worth of reserves is to be kept. My information recently is that not that long ago, 6 years ago, the council reserves were 40,000, and they have been carefully husbanded up to the present level.
Yes.
And there was no intention. The finance working group looked at all of this within that framework.
Right.
It is important. It is the framework within which all the other calculations should be made.
Yes.
How much reserves do you want to aim for? And everything else works back from that, or gradually piles up to that.
It was a bit dodgy when it was 40,000, believe you me.
Anyway.
Yes.
Yes, I've got it. Councillor Brookes.
Yes. I'm not sure 100% if I'm right, but my understanding is that the grant from Rutland County Council was similar as what they received from central government, that we didn't increase the precept provided we got that. Now, the reason I say that is because in 2014-2015, this council put its precept up, and it was very quickly sent back from Rutland County Council and told, put it down, which you did. In 2015-2016, that didn't apply because I think it went up 1.5%, and the Mayor's words at the time was, we need to up the reserves. May not have been exactly those words, but that was the purpose. But what I find extraordinary, and I think people are, the new council, waking up to the idea, is that we don't have money, and at some point we're probably going to have to do a huge increase as we take on more responsibilities, which is not going to go down too well with the public. My concern is, and one member of the public told me today, is that, and I'll repeat it because it's my view, we get in the council tax booklet because our administration costs are far too high. When you take off the administration costs for the council, which is what my opinion is, that the increase, the increase of this budget of 2% is not actually covering any project, and that's my concern. It's just increased administration.
Included in this, I believe, is the takeover of the cemetery and the maintenance of the cemetery.
We were told that was cost neutral, so we don't get the full proper facts.
What? Yes, you do. You just interpret
well, we're told it's cost neutral.
It's not cost neutral. If we take over the cemetery, it's going to be an increase in cost. It's got to be.
Well, that's not what was reported to us.
It was. Well,
it was confusing.
Okay.
Can
we just stick to the proposal now?
Yeah.
The proposal is that the council maintains its decision to keep an increase in the precept in 2016-17 to 2% of a Band D equivalent property, and that any additional expenditure is met from council reserves. That's what we're looking at tonight. I don't particularly look at future events because that's going to be the debate for the future.
Yes.
Councillor Lewis.
Can I just have can I just ask Michael, if, and at the moment it's a big if, about Barleythorpe becoming a parish, can I get this in my head? Because they've got to now ask RCC have got now consult every single person in Barleythorpe, and that's where what happened on Monday night.
Possibly after.
What if Barleythorpe decide to have a parish? How does that affect us financially? Will that affect us?
No effect. No effect at all.
No effect at all.
If it becomes, what will happen is that Barleythorpe would be, if it goes that way, Barleythorpe would be granted parish status. If it goes the other way, it could be that Barleythorpe becomes the 5th ward of Oakham. Which might
so it's not relevant to this.
It's not relevant at all to this, no. This is something we've got to talk about in the future. Let us stick tonight to this 2%. Are we going to maintain the 2% of a Band D equivalent property? Is that our proposal for tonight?
Well, I was going to propose that we actually go with the proposal, because we're around the houses.
Yeah.
That is my proposal.
Okay, so your proposal is as stated.
As stated.
Before I vote, would you mind if I ask Michael one question, because he's into finance. You know, and I would like your opinion in order for me to be able to know where I'm coming from. What do you think? How will you vote on this? Do you think we should go for this
2%? Personally, yes. And if I just elaborate briefly, the council already agreed to go for 2%. So tonight there may be two different things being confused. Do you want to overturn that on the basis of the budget for the following year, or against what was agreed before, or do you in some way, by overturning that, want to provide in this coming year for something that is going to happen in the future? If you want to do the latter and start providing for something that you may feel is inevitable or will happen in the future, you are making that provision by asking for cash from people. Normally, sorry to sound technical, but normally providing for something, any organisation that does, sets aside its own money to provide for something, whether it's depreciation or whatever. But by raising this amount to provide for these events which are may be on their own, from the public is requiring them to pay for something in advance.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'll take a vote now. Please do I have a proposal for this? Councillor Howard, seconded by
I'll second it now.
Councillor
Yes.
Stubbs. All those in favour of the proposal? 4, 6, 7. Against? Was it noted?
Please.
Okay, and noted.
Chairman, can I make a comment?
Yeah.
I'd like to pass on my thanks to the two Michaels because I think the work they've done here has been extremely good. I was in favour of this being higher, and I'm pleased to see that they're actually looking out for the public of Oakham by sticking to the council's guidelines. So I'd like that recorded as excellent work. Thank you, Michaels and Michaels.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael,
Okay.
for your
Have we
work.
got a second? Who's that?
We've got a second part, precept man.
Oh, turned over.
So following on from that that decision, why won't this work? You're going to have to trust me on this, because this seems to have stopped working. We have what we now have then is a precept demand to Rutland County Council. Now that members have agreed with that 2%, that is how the precept demand will look. Okay, so from the top you've got last year's figure and you've got the local government council tax support grant, local council tax support grant. Okay, now what is happening with the budget that you've just approved? The increase is 24,350 and briefly is made up of those three items, quite simply. We could go to the nth degree, but the primary ones are that there will be a cost to the council of the cemetery.
Yes.
Okay, there will be. There is a budget for the neighbourhood plan. As it stands at the moment, we will not be receiving any money from the community centre. So those three things, kind of, if you take those together, add up to why the budget has increased. Okay. Now we are then taking it down because we are using council reserves. That is what we need financially, £228,059. We will get the council tax support grant, so the precept we need is one less the other, and that is that bottom line figure, which equates to a 2% increase for a Band D property.
Yes.
Also.
Thank you. Can I propose to accept the precept demand of 2%, please? Councillor Howard, Councillor Stubbs.
Precept demand is 211635.
Okay, 211635. All those in favour? Those against? Noted again? Thank you.
Chairman, it's not that I'm going, but I am cold.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, my Rayno has kicked
Oh, yeah.
in. My Rayno has kicked in.
Probably.
Okay, now the next item, we wish to defer because all the information has not been received. So can I have a proposal to defer the next item
Yes.
on insurance provision from April
It's
the 1st, 2016?
I propose we defer that item.
Thank you. Seconded, please.
What was that, sorry?
Second item, Councillor Howard. We're talking about insurance provision from April 1st, 2016. We don't have all the information, just want to defer it till we've got that information. So we've got a proposal and a seconder. All those in favour of deferring?
Yes.
Unanimous, thank you. Item 13 is regular public meetings. Councillor Elliott, sure.
Thank you, sir. Can I just say at the beginning that this paper was submitted first of all to the 9th of December meeting, and the green shoots referred to on page 2 did not know what was shortly to follow from the Cottesmore Hunt decision. So, without reciting or going over the detail of that, the fact is that for a month-ish, between the middle of December and the middle of January, the council has attracted to itself extremely adverse, hostile criticism. If you'll have read this, it is a suggestion that the council isn't afraid to exhibit the pride that it takes in the results of its work. It's very simple. The word pride got mentioned earlier today in relation to the fishing proposal, that there is a project there that the council should take pride in having helped. The major problem that seems to reoccur over and over again is perceived, what the perception of Oakham Town Council is. And the Chairman's referred to it recently, and that perception either or both by members of the public and by Rutland County Council. So this paper suggests that on a regular basis of 3 or 4 months, it makes its declaration publicly, and with the pride in which it is taking in the projects that it is currently working on or has just finished. And by doing this, it rolls back the negative PR that it seems to attract to itself, despite all the efforts of a group of volunteers to do things for this town within a £250,000 budget. So, pride in the results of the council's efforts, pride to be shared by the townspeople of Oakham, pride to be shared by Rutland County Council, who should be proud to be working with OTC, and that partnership pride has got to be earned, so that if anything like this proposal is accepted, then all the work that the council does would be geared to the next public declaration of pride. I'm sorry to keep reiterating the word, but I don't think there's any better reason for people doing things. I went to a meeting in the museum last night, a talk in the museum. The museum and the way the talk was done, like that are happening in that place that it's happening. The castle will be a matter of pride for the town. The work that council's done on Cuts Close, it seems to me, is a pride for the town and what goes on there. Quite separately, it's only my view, that the result of the cemetery transfer should be pride to the town. It needs to be articulated better than it has been. The work gets done, and some of the things are obvious and some are less obvious. Those things I just mentioned are obvious ones. Meanwhile, rivers get cleared. The CA contribution would be a worthy cause. It won't necessarily be, not a lot of people will know about it. There are a whole lot of things that the council does that people won't know about, and I'm not suggesting that regular meetings should bore members of the public with ordinary things, except that they're not ordinary. There should be some pride, and not be afraid to articulate pride in having done them and doing them. That's all I have to say.
Can I just make one comment? You mentioned the adverse comments received from the decision regarding the Cottage Moor. I have received considerable comment congratulating us on that.
Good.
Mm. So it's not all adverse, let me say that.
No.
I think the adverse comment is more vociferous.
Yes.
I think that's the reason it's being heard. That's one of the problems.
Sorry, it's this word perception, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes.
It is this word perception, and it is for a lot of people and a lot of us. It's
okay. Comments?
Thank you, Chair. I do understand what Michael's saying, and I think it does. There's a lot of very, very good points. Whether that is the way to go about it, to get the members of the public to understand what we do and to have pride in what we do. I wonder whether we should consider perhaps other ways than to have regular 3-monthly meetings. I haven't sort of thought about alternatives, but I just wonder whether we can put our thinking caps on. I think it would be a good idea for members of the public to know and understand what good work is done and good work is being done by the council. And is this going to be the way? I think we should ought to perhaps all think about it and maybe come up with alternatives. Like, for instance, a newsletter. And that's just off the top of my head when I'm standing here. But that's my thought on it anyway.
Okay, anyone else? Councillor Lucas.
I was disappointed that Adam didn't give a report on the surgery. Right? Now, we didn't have how many did we have?
15.
15 people. We dealt with the cemetery, dog muck, play park, just about everything. Trees round the castle. Luckily I was there and could explain it to that couple. Adam went in there with some people, I was out here with other people, and that's what it's about. It was no cost to the council, we did our own publicity, and we didn't need to have an officer there taking minutes or anything. There has got to be another way, and the other way, of course, is a newsletter. It is public. It is press officer's job. And how many people come to our annual meeting? How many did we have this time?
5, was it?
5, 6. When there's an issue, we have people sitting there, and that's the reason. I've had people saying, "Oh, I don't know that man, a councillor. Who was he?" I've had, I thought that was not a member of the council, but a member of Oakham in Bloom. It's for us to put ourselves about. Adam and I do ward walks. Why isn't everybody else? Why aren't we doing something about publicity on Saturday with photographs of us walking around? That's what it's about. It's not about taking up people's time, taking up time for the officers, putting adverts in the paper. Just get out there and do it. Sorry, I feel very strongly about this. We all should be working to get this up and running.
Mr. Brookes.
Do a surgery.
Mr. Brookes.
Do a surgery. Good idea. Yeah, I did come for a little while, and I do think they're a good thing. So I don't object to the surgery thing, but as we know, the rule is we need 2 people, so we can't actually do it on our own.
But I could sit with you.
Yeah, well, we can come to that. We've still got time. But I like this here. I'd like to see what the content of this is, perhaps transferred to the town meeting, because that is a statutory thing, but it tends to be a report, no disrespect to whoever's chairman, it's the chairman's report and then a free-for-all from the public. Now, if this was put in there as well, that would be brilliant. I think that the free-for-all should be controlled, but I'm a bit slightly disappointed it wasn't included in this, because I think we need feedback from the public, whether it is surgeries and that, and I actually think that the press don't come because obviously it costs money and things, but if we had these quarterly meetings and we were to put out a good report, whoever's chairing it or different members who are doing different projects, we probably would get a better press because they would think, in the diary, quarterly meetings, we will come to Oakham Town Council whenever it is. And one of the issues I have about people not coming to the town meeting is that it isn't advertised. It is just a notice in the notice board. So that's probably the reason why people don't come. If they know they can come and talk about any issue affecting for Oakham and they're told, whether it's on the radio, the Rutland Times or whatever, people come. You proved it by your things you use, Rutland Radio's website, you use the Rutland Times posters and things, and you got, in a very short period of time, 14, 15 people.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's the way forward, and we can work on this, and I would like to see that people do support this as a start, that we have something based on this.
Thank you. Are we looking then to approve some form of regular public meeting? It could be, as Councillor Elliott has said there, on a quarterly basis. It could be done outside here.
Right.
It could be. There could be one at the end of January. There's no problem. We could do it the same as we do the town report, which I think is a bit staid. Looking at things we've been doing recently, I'm sure we could do reports on the cemeteries, neighbourhood plan and the community centre, just quickly off my head. Just tell people what we're doing. Now, if that's okay, we could do that, say, half an hour before planning and parks, next planning and parks, with relevant officers, relevant members who are running, say, the cemeteries network plan or community centre, giving a briefing on what is happening.
Before next Parks, sorry.
Before next Parks, yeah, we can do a half an hour before next Parks, if that's what you're thinking of.
It's a bit rushed.
Cheers.
Well, I've come with your proposal.
I just think that we should be advertising the Oakham annual meeting, Oakham Town meeting, much better, and the publicity officer should be doing as much as he or she can. And I think we should not go ahead and do one in January or whenever and cost this council some more money by having to advertise it. Because you won't get them there any other way.
Yeah.
I'm getting a bit peed off really, everyone's saying the publicity officer should do it. No, seriously, ever since I've been publicity officer, which nobody else wanted,
yes.
Nobody has come to me with any topic and asked me to publicise it. Nobody. There's been nothing submitted. The only person that's actually helped the publicity officer has been Jasmine and Rebecca, and Jasmine has agreed to keep doing Twitter. Twitter we are developing, and the Facebook thing I think we need to develop. Totally agree with what Michael is saying, but I think we should be doing it 2 meetings. The town meeting and then another at a 6-month point and trial it.
Yeah.
When it came to even doing things in publicity like the Oakham leaflet, we took so much, we have a habit in this council of letting bureaucracy stop us doing anything. We look for excuses not to move forward.
Yes.
We find, we actually develop our standing orders to block ourselves. It's a brilliant idea what Michael said, open and transparent, and I think what we should do is that I went to the meeting at the museum last night, and one of the reasons there was quite a large turnout is that Castle Cottage laid on the wine and the food, which at no cost to the people that went. I'm not saying that they were buying people in, but there's got to be more than just Oakham Town Council. To be quite honest, any other night of the week I'm not going to turn out to watch us lot talk.
No.
Okay? There's got to be a USP. We need to get our message out there because what we've been doing, and we are getting stuff out. And on the back of the surgery that they did on Saturday, I did a 1,000-word document or article for the paper,
yes.
which I sent in on Monday evening.
Yes.
Alex said if they've got space, they might use it.
But if it isn't this week, it'll be next week.
So I totally support it. I think we need to be taking baby steps because what we've done with the Twitter, what we're doing with Facebook, when we advertised that fun day last year, I actually went out of the way and spent more money on advertising than I had done at previous concerts, and that made a success. When Joyce and I did the surgery, I think it's the fact that it was quite well publicised and Joyce did most of that. We got 15 people in. So it is about publicity, it's about pushing it, but we've got no budget as such. £1,000 for the whole year for doing posters and things.
Yes.
Not a lot.
No.
And most of the posters that we put out, Joyce and I pay for ourselves.
Yeah, we did.
So it's a brilliant idea.
Do you want to come back, Mike?
Well, yes, just on a few things. One of the most impressive things that I've noticed in the last few months has been this introduction of an operating plan for the council.
Strategic plan.
Called strategic plan. I deliberately went away from strategic to operating, but same thing, yes. And why? Because it brings all the efforts together under one umbrella and enables all those efforts to be judged within the whole. Perhaps there has been a tendency for the council's efforts to be fragmented and go in the direction of people who are keen on this or keen on the other. They're only keen because they know a lot about a subject or they're prepared to put the effort in, but perhaps in order to roll back this momentum of anti-town council, it needs more than that. And staying with that theme, Joyce, the individual surgeries, maybe then this is a discussion about whether you have a series of individual surgeries, or individual meetings, or whether you actually group the message out within one thing, which can emphasise different parts of what the council do each time the meetings happen. But it's all under one umbrella, and it does perhaps, because everybody won't do surgeries. So anyway, the discussion is perhaps whether to have individual efforts or to have a more structured overall effort, which, by the way, Adam, I would think if you enter into this arrangement, this commitment to be able to proclaim something every 4 months or 6 months, that will drive it. It will drive it and it'll stop the log jams you're talking about. Part of what I was trying to get across is it becomes too inward, and that would transfer the momentum outwards. You've got to proclaim yourself. And I think, personally, that there are people here who, relating to the people out there, and it will only be 2 or 3 to start with, I quite see that it'll take time to build it up, or however many you think went to the annual meeting. But I think there's a world of difference between people relating to it. It's rather like theatre. The people on the stage need the audience, and vice versa. So I think there is the merit in here of helping to drive. On a small basis, what happened tonight isn't very good, because the people who come are looking, and this has been said before, are facing the backs of 3 or 4 people.
Absolutely.
That is hopelessly not, that is such not a good idea, whatever the words are.
I think it's dreadful.
And there was in the last year talk about altering the furniture, and I think it should be done straight away, so that there are little ways to improve rolling back the anti-town council. That would be much more encouraging for people to come if they thought they were, like I just said about players on the stage and the audience, they were part of the thing. They can only feel remotely part as it's structured at the moment. Anyway, it's maybe...
It's on cost that's the problem.
We've got one more. On the back of that, we have got a forum for this, which is going to be coming up this year with the opening of the band concerts. And after that, the perfect forum for councillors getting out there, mixing and mingling with the people, is that the people, we don't even have to call the people to us, we can actually go to them. We've got them all in one place to listen to band concerts. And we miss that trick. There's usually only 3 or 4 councillors that turn out.
Well, I think this should stand on itself as an entertainment thing. I don't think it needs a band, yeah?
I would like to, if I'm allowed to, sort of support this, because I think that it is the word that some people dread, modernisation and inclusion and transparency, and however you can work on it. I probably wouldn't want to see a meeting planned for this January.
No.
We've got to think about the content. We don't want a situation where it's like, I joke, where they can come and throw eggs at us in the stocks as such. We need it to be a bit formal, but not like a council meeting. But also there shouldn't be any cost in the way you found for yourself for going for your surgeries. If we, I'm not sorry if I repeat myself, if you're going to have these meetings and they are structured and they've got a purpose like the neighbourhood plan, I know people will come because I watch the Facebook, there is hunger to do that in a huge volumes. And if they know they're not going to do it in a council meeting but come and get updates and talk about it out there, the people will come, like they did to the open days. I lost count how many people came to the open days. So if it's okay, can I propose that we do agree that we have regular, as the proposal is there, but not the one in January, which gives us plenty of time to think about it and organise what is basically the free publicity, like speak to the press.
I mean,
and
what
the
you're saying
papers.
there is you want to reorganise the town meeting in May. Is that true?
No. This is the town meeting stays as it is because that's a statutory thing.
Is it statutory?
It has to happen. Technically, it should happen separate from our annual general meeting. But when I read the guidance, but we always have it on the same day, which causes confusion to people. But we need to have the first one perhaps in the new council year, which gives us plenty of time to when we can say to people, it can perhaps duplicate some of the things that happened at the town meeting, but it's not such a formal platform.
Okay, so what's your proposal?
That we stick with this proposal, but we take off, if it's okay with Mr. Elliott, because he understands the timescale, that we take off January, but we talk perhaps about quarterly from, when does the new year start? May. Quarterly from May.
September.
Well, you've got the town meeting in May, that's the point.
But we can do it at the end of May.
No.
Well, you've got the town meeting at the beginning of May.
Town
You can have
meeting,
two very
that's
close
it.
meetings there.
Well, maybe we could sort
At
of
a
tweak
date.
the town meeting that it is sort of that town meeting is the launch of
Okay.
these meetings.
We've got that
If does that sound right?
Okay, so am I right in thinking your proposal is that we accept Councillor Elliott's proposals for a regular public meeting?
Yeah.
That the first one will be at a time in the middle of the say in June.
Well, if we say the town meeting as the launch, because then that will make the town meeting better, because we would have an agenda of people talking
Converting
and.
the town meeting into a.
Well, it would still be the town meeting because that's the legal requirement,
With
but
better advert.
a better content
Okay,
and better
so
advertising.
We'll start in May.
And then quarterly
And then
from
quarterly.
then to be revised at the end of the year or something, so that we're not stuck with it if we feel that it
Is that
doesn't
a
work.
good idea, Mike?
Yes, whether you do quarterly or every 4 months,
Okay.
if quarterly seems too much of a burden.
Yes.
So
To start with.
the first one in May to replace.
Most of regular meetings with the first at the town meeting, quarterly thereafter, but will be kept under review.
Yeah, have a second for that.
Does that sound right?
Councillor Hopkins, seconded. You proposed it.
Sorry,
All those in favour?
I think we were voting. Sorry,
Yeah.
All against?
you're happy.
One against. Joyce again. Do you want it noted?
Yes.
Noted. Okay. Thank
Not
you.
necessary.
Right, then the next item is neighbourhood plan. At the last meeting of the council, we agreed the neighbourhood plan steering group, and it was noted it was Councillor Haley and the chairman of the council. Now, the problem with this is that we do not wish the steering group to be other than community-led. And it appears then if you have a chairman of the council sitting on there, it's more likely to be council-led. So the idea would be that instead of the council, instead of the chairman of the council, that is me that is nominated to be in that position, subject to obviously the annual renewal that occurs. So the sorry? Not as chairman. So the recommendation is that Councillors Haley and Joyce be appointed to the steering group without caveat. That it's not the chairman of the council, but it's me as a councillor.
I forgot to Google caveat, but can I suggest
That
that
restriction.
can I suggest that we don't review this because there needs to be continuity in it, and obviously I've read the guidelines that says that the people on the steering group stay on until they're no longer required. So I'm thinking the reason you've asked to be on yourself is because if next year, which is coming very soon, you wouldn't be chairman, we don't know, but you know, so you would have to come off as our representative. So could we not get to the situation where we're appointing you for and Michael for the required period, rather than saying that this is an annual thing?
Well, let's do that in May.
That's it, yeah. Okay.
So that
That's the idea of this.
that's what it is.
That's what it means, yes.
Yeah, okay. Because I didn't want you to have to be booted off.
Can a member of the
Yeah.
be
Can I move
the
it?
chairman
Yes.
of this?
We haven't got a chairman of this group.
No.
What you've done is appoint the chairman of the council to sit on this group rather than me as a member. So when I finish,
I don't want it council-led.
that's the point we're
Yeah.
making. It must not be council
No,
led.
absolutely not.
We have two members on this steering committee, myself and Michael Haley, and the other one is the member from Oakham Town Partnership. All the rest, Oakham Town Partnership is a community as well, but all the rest are from the community.
Good.
And that's the idea of it. It's got to be a community-led.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if we say chairman of the council, it indicates it is more pointed towards a council-led. That's the point we're making. Okay?
I think it's straightforward.
Okay, are you proposing?
Yes.
I'll second it.
Second, all in favour?
Yeah.
Unanimous, thank you very much. And the next item is a recommendation from the staffing committee. You recall that at the last meeting of the council, we did look at the local government pension scheme and the the policies of the local government pension scheme, which this council delegated down to the staffing committee to look at and report back. You now have a report in front of you of the staffing committee's views, and the staffing committee went into this in great detail And you've got there their recommendations, which has no direct cost on the council. So we've gone for the status quo on this. Anything which does or possibly results in a cost will have to go back via the staffing committee and then come to council for agreement. So rather than even looking at this and trying to go through it again, because I don't think I want to do that, it took hours last time we got through it. Can I have a proposal to accept the recommendations of the staffing committee, please? Councillor Howard, second. Councillor Hopkins, all in favour? 2, 4, 6, 7. Councillor Brookes?
Against.
Against, okay.
Can
Noted?
I-
Do you want it noted?
Yeah.
Can I just say thank you to the chairman of the staffing, because this has been a huge project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, we've got Councillor Clark on the review of the financial rate.
Oh,
Any questions?
Any questions to it? Very straightforward. Okay, no questions. I have a proposal to accept the amendments to the financial regulations. Councillor Stubbs, second Councillor Howard, all in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Oakham Community Centre. This is an application by Councillor Haley for £200 for marketing materials for marketing the community centre, which you have a report before you. Okay, can I have a proposal for that? Councillor Stubbs, second Councillor Howard, all in favour?
yeah.
Sorry, is that up or?
Yes.
You've got your hand in your pocket there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Councillor Brookes?
Against.
Against. Noted.
Don't worry about it.
Schedule of payments. Any questions?
Comments? Questions?
Okay, can I have someone to propose accept schedule of payments?
Sorry, I was
you
just
didn't have your
wondering
hand
if
up.
anybody, sorry, I didn't know if anyone else
Go
could
ahead.
have put theirs up first. I have a question.
Number.
I'm getting there. It's very small, so I hope that you get the right one. Yes, it's good I've done that, because I did mark the wrong number. No, I didn't, sorry. 262. Work required for Christmas and our contractor. £240. Could you have an explanation first what that is for?
Work required for Christmas, £240.
262, Richard.
Do you want to start that one, or shall I?
No, well, Richard.
No, I guess it was because it was.
Well, I mean, if you've got to do
I mean, I
that.
can't answer it now.
Pardon?
I mean,
What it is,
Once it's down, or both sit down. You don't have two councillors.
Yes, that is a good point. I mean, if you have a query, you should give the clerk due notice, because he's got to go and look back all through the records now. So if you do have queries, please let him know.
Sorry?
If anybody has queries about accounts, can they please let us know in advance?
Yeah.
And we won't have to go looking back through
Well,
that.
unfortunately, because I've discussed some of the other things with other member, this one only just popped out from second reading, and it was too late to
Okay.
to
Well,
ask.
if you just take that into account in future.
Yes.
so this was
my
on
other
2
question.
days, the 27th and the 29th of November, collect road sign barriers from highways, collect erect gazebos, take down and return gazebos. Bear in mind this was also a Sunday.
Yes.
So, additional monies as per quoted fee of £240. Collecting, we all agreed. To cover some
Switching, wasn't it?
yeah, so do switching the late night shopping.
Okay. Then we move on to
Can I
item number.
make a comment on that 240 or not?
Do you need to?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I just want to point out that of the I'm standing really.
That's right, Joyce, sorry.
Of the promotion working group, 2 of the members are full-time employment in employment. They can't be expected to run around doing all sorts of little fiddling jobs. We will have to pay people in the future, and Greg's other people to do it. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
I don't think there's any comment on that.
No.
I think it's just
I just wanted to know
I just
what
want to make a point.
Okay, can we go on the next one?
Yeah, I just wanted to know what it was, and it's been explained.
Okay,
Thank
got
you.
it.
263, which obviously
Oh,
contradicts the payment that was mentioned there, because it says that this is to collect and erect gazebos. Now, I bring this up even when I've been a member of the public. This council, or the previous councils, authorised huge expenditure for these gazebos because they're easy to put up by members. Now, in that previous comment, we were told that it was to put up and take down. A councillor and his wife took them down. We're now billed £80 to collect and erect and dismantle them immediately after being paid £240. I think.
I can answer that.
Well, what was the late night?
Sorry, sit down a minute, Martin, I'll explain. On the late night shopping, Greg's did extra work because it saved the county council charging us for the road signage. Because if we'd left Rutland County Council to do the road signage, it'd cost £500 or £600.
Yeah.
So our contract.
So that 240 is for the late night shopping.
No, the 240 was for the switch on, and they collected one gazebo and erected it, and I helped them. In fact, you were there and you saw me. And then on the late night shopping, all we needed was 2 gazebos picking up because unfortunately I couldn't get away from work to get the gazebos and get them on the high street. So Greg's got them and erected them where we needed them out the front here. Yes, we did take them down. It doesn't say take down there. All they did was collect, erect, and then they took them back to the shelter the following morning, which would have been a Tuesday. So that's where the expenditure came in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Easily.
Well, it's nice when it's explained. It's
Yeah.
very difficult to know
Yeah.
on this piece of paper.
No, if you can ask the question beforehand, you can have the answer on the night.
I do sometimes
you put this
ask
question
questions
to
and I
the
don't
clerk
get the
tomorrow?
answers.
Can we have this
That's
question
the
to the clerk?
problem.
Being as you haven't put it in advance, can't you ask this question of the clerk tomorrow?
No, because this one will involve, it needs some answers because we were told basically...
What number?
We're talking of a lot of numbers here, and
Oh.
it's good for the switch on, which total a sum of roughly £130. We were told that the event wouldn't cost us any money this year.
Can you get on with telling us what the voucher number is and then so we can answer the question?
Well, it's sort of like it goes, well, there are various numbers, 282, 283, 284...
£150 was agreed.
I can answer that. Council agreed. I can't talk
But-
because Martin
but-
stood.
No,
If it wasn't
let me
that
just
before in the
finish.
box,
What I was going to say is that I question the need to spend that sort of money because we had one flask...
Apparently this was authorised by council.
Yes,
So
but I would like to
£150
know what
was
it
agreed.
was spent on because
If you need,
there
go
was
back in the
one
minutes and have a look.
there was one flask of mulled wine, a few
Come on,
mince
Dad.
pies and sweets.
There was
So
2.
Two, maybe.
If you're
but-
disputing it,
but
I
how
suggest
do-
you get the receipts, otherwise sit down. Don't ever question my credibility, my honesty, because these documents...
Did I say your name?
Yes, you are. You
I
are
haven't
challenging
said
these
your name.
receipts. The
I-
receipts
I-
there. Chairman, I am walking out. I refuse to be in the room with a man where he's insinuating yet again that I'm taking money from this council, and I will not stand here being insulted by Councillor Brooks.
I'm sorry,
I'm
I
going
didn't
home
mention your
because I'm
name.
fed up with that. Richard, please give Councillor Brooks all the receipts to prove that we did everything by the book and we did not steal money from the council and give it to a
Nobody's
charity.
accused anybody of
Disgraceful.
stealing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. No, excuse me, Chairman.
I'm going to
I
rule
would make
now,
I would
no
make a
more.
point.
If you want any
I
more
would make a
information, you
point.
ask the clerk tomorrow.
I've been very
I am
cautious.
not going to have any more of this.
I've been very
No.
cautious. No, this is
No,
important.
I am not
This is
having
a
more.
payment list.
Please sit down.
A councillor's
I'm gonna
got
move
very
on.
upset. No allegations have been
Right,
made.
I want
As
now-
a councillor, I
I'm
have a
going
right
to
to know
accept
what
the
the
payment
expenditure
list.
is.
So that's the how.
But you can't just do that, Al.
Second, all those in favour?
Yes.
That man accused me of theft, he did. I didn't accuse
Okay, I'm
anyone.
taking Councillor Brooks
Thank you.
as
Can we
against.
get on to
Noted
the
as
next
that.
one?
If you want
Excuse
information...
me, I haven't voted yet. Don't read
Well,
my mind.
Okay, well, if you want information, you ask before the meeting.
No, the purpose of bringing it here is we ask in public.
No, we ask in... You can ask the clerk at any time. What you've done is put the clerk in a position now where he's got to go and search for information.
I wasn't
That is not
asking for all.
Right.
I
That's
was
accepted.
asking what the expenditure was
Schedule.
on, and there was this
Statement of accounts.
extraordinary
Are there any-
reaction.
What?
That was a vote for.
Schedule of payments, what's happening?
Schedule of payments, it was proposed by Councillor Howard, seconded by Councillor Stubbs.
And apparently I voted against it, but actually
and
I
took
didn't.
you as a vote against.
Well, you shouldn't, because I didn't.
Well, did you vote for it then?
No, I
Oh,
will
you voted against it,
abstain.
right,
I will
that's what I
abstain
said.
on this.
Sorry, I'm
Because the
moving
whole
on.
thing fell
In
into-
future, if you want this information, you ask for it beforehand.
No, this is the purpose of this meeting. We
The
are
purpose of
asked
this
to put
meeting-
questions.
Yes, but you put the clerk in a difficult position by doing this.
No, only because of the deputy chairman's
No, before the deputy chairman
unprovoked
went.
reaction.
Councillor...
I'm glad it's
I'm
video.
moving on.
Thank you.
I'm
Statement
glad
of
it's video.
accounts.
I have one other comment.
Well, I'm afraid that's it. I'm moving
Sorry,
on.
289.
Can we
Any
move on,
statement-
please, Chairman?
anything on the statement of accounts, please?
Sorry, say again?
Statement
I
of
switched
accounts.
off.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, what did you want? What?
Statement of accounts. Any questions on the statement of accounts?
No, but I would like to have the opportunity just to try to infuse some calm into what
Well
has
done,
got. It is a list of payments. It was distributed.
We've moved on, Mike. We've finished that item.
Well, all right, but it applies to the accounts as well.
Okay.
The information in any of these things was given out 4 days ago, and I think it's got to be the case. If you want constructive debate around this table, and it should be the case that things. No, it's not. No, the understanding has to be that nobody's entitled to go down this and pick out, and it could be anybody. I've been in meetings all my life and people have done this. It's got to be more constructive than that. Raise the issues in the 4 or 5 days from when this is produced, and then have a constructive discussion around. It unfortunately does come out.
Been done for the last 10 years.
That's precisely what I'm trying to drive at.
10 years they've been doing it this way.
Can that understanding be changed? Because I can see that it's a historical thing. You feel entitled under that historical arrangement. That the work we're doing on the finance group is to preserve the clerk's authority. If he or the office does a lot of work, structure it so that can then be used by councillors constructively. It should not be the understanding that it is up for minute criticism. It's not going to work in a meeting such as this. So can the emphasis and the understanding be changed? I've just asked for that.
Well, I would hope it can be changed because we can't continue like that.
No, but can I just say, Chairman, please, to
Oh,
get it
oh,
on
yeah,
the
you
record,
can.
to get it on the record very clearly, that all I was intending to do this evening was get clarification of a very vague description. There has been no allegation of theft by the clerk or the deputy chairman. That was not the intention. It was to get clarification of a discussion of what the money was spent on.
Well, you see
So
what
there's
the
been no
effect of what you've
allegations.
done as-
Well, no, but that's his problem, not
Chairman.
mine.
Chairman,
Can we please be quiet?
Put the question.
Can we? I've moved on now to statement of accounts. Are there any questions on the statement of accounts? Okay, can I take a proposal for accepting statement of accounts? Councillor Howard, Councillor Stubbs, second. All in favour? 2, 4, 6. Councillor Brookes, against. Was it?
Thank
Yes.
you.
Okay, I'll put it right that time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Meeting closed at Joyce
9 o'clock.
20:59.